We'll be starting in 1 minute at 9:15. But I see lots of people are joining us. And welcome from all over the world. And thank you for those who got up so early, or in the middle of the night, or wherever you are. This is truly a global event. Noah? Noah, you wanted to say something? So you raised your hand. Okay. Can you all hear me now? Let's begin. Deborah, ready to begin?
Good. Absolutely. Go right ahead, Jeana.
Okay, great. Welcome. I'm Jeana Wirtenberg with the Rutgers Institute for Corporate Social Innovation. I'm also an associate professor at Rutgers in the business school, and I'd love to welcome you to the Introduction to Shared Prosperity track for the Inclusive Impact Summit. I'm excited and honored to have the opportunity to share with you some thoughts today. What I'd like to do in these few minutes is set the context by speaking about where we are today with regard to sustainability, the wealth chasm, the racial wealth gap, and the future of work, and how this has all been affected by COVID-19, conflict, and climate change in 15 minutes. Second, I'll briefly describe the concept of shared prosperity as it is currently thought about and introduce some of my thoughts about what's missing from that definition and equation. And third, I'll introduce the speakers in the shared prosperity track for the rest of the morning. So clearly, we are living through unprecedented times in history. There is no more normal and there's no more going back. We love the work of Donella Meadows, one of our forerunners in this whole sustainability revolution. And what she said was that this revolution is going to be organic. It's going to arise from the visions, insights, experiments, and actions of billions of people. And we see that happening right now around the world. And the burden of making it happen is not on the shoulders of just a few people. No one will get the credit, but everyone can contribute. What we see today is what we call an obscene wealth chasm, where the richest 26 people in the world own the same wealth as the bottom 50% of the world. 62 billionaires own 1.676 trillion, the cumulative wealth of the bottom 3.5 billion of the world's population. And these wealth inequalities have increased at the very top of the distribution. Global multimillionaires have captured a disproportionate share of global wealth growth over the past several decades. The top 1% took 38% of all additional wealth accumulated since the mid-1990s, whereas the bottom 50% captured just 2% of it. This inequity stems from serious inequality in growth rates between the top and the bottom segments of the wealth distribution. And 2020 marked the steepest increase in global billionaires' share of global wealth on record. During the COVID-19 in the last couple of years, we've had a reversal of fortune. And it's been linked to COVID-19, conflict, and climate change, which has essentially reversed the gains in poverty eradication for the first time in a generation. Interestingly, the World Bank report, Reversals of Fortune, which you can see there, said that it is the quality of schooling that is key to poverty reduction in both non-poor and poor students in rural and urban areas alike. I also thought it was very interesting that they pointed out that although the pandemic has had different impacts on different social groups, the fact that everyone is affected is an opportunity for leaders to promote a sense of social inclusion and collective resolve, the benefits of which could extend beyond the crisis. So even though a lot of this is depressing and pessimistic, I'm optimistic, because reversing even a massive reversal of fortune, such as what we are seeing now, is possible. It has been done many times in the past, in the face of what were regarded as, at the time, as insurmountable challenges. For example, eradicating smallpox, ending World War II, closing the ozone hole, and it will be done again in the future. So this global crisis is a defining historical moment. The world needs to commit to cooperation and coordination, both within and between countries. We must commit to working together and to working better for the long term. You can read these later, and we will be posting this, but the US is a country of tremendous economic opportunity. However, that opportunity is not shared equally. Currently, longstanding wealth gaps across race, gender, and class are widening, fueled by evolving technologies, shifting labor markets, changing demographics, and continued racial bias. In the US, incomes among the wealthiest families increased roughly 90% from 1963 to 2016, as compared to an increase of less than 10% for the nation's families with the least wealth during the same period. The result is a steadily widening gap between lower and higher income individuals and families that limits our ability to succeed as a nation. And a growing share of America's population is left behind, especially people of color. The labor market generates considerable opportunity for the people and places already equipped for success in the digital era, while simultaneously creating new barriers to economic opportunity for women, people of color, and other underrepresented groups, as well as geographies struggling to compete. So the world has changed forever. We are clearly at an inflection point regarding work and how it's done. The old normal has been wiped away. We're not getting back to normal. The pace of change is accelerating every day, and what we're finding is employees are stressed out, burnt out, and disengaged. But we feel sustainability is both a huge challenge as well as an opportunity to reinvent interconnections, collaboration, and teamwork. At the RICSI, we have done, over the last 2 years, a tremendous amount of work with our students and an interdisciplinary task force on the future of work. We identified 5 areas that are critical to producing holistic outcomes that include sustainability for people, planet, and profits. And these are in the context of high tech and high touch. You can see the 5 areas there: supporting employee mental health, reskilling for the long term, educating for tomorrow's workforce, sustainability and the environment, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now I'd like to say a few words about what is shared prosperity and how it is defined. I spent the whole weekend researching how it is defined in the literature. And the expression shared prosperity has recently gained prominence as a development objective, a social goal that should be pursued by all nations in the world. It has been adopted as one of 2 central objectives that are meant to guide everything the World Bank does. And a very closely associated objective is listed as Goal 10.1 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. While economic well-being is a key part of shared prosperity, included in this goal is also access to food, shelter, health, and education, key factors that make sustainability possible. Here you see the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which is really more than a goal. It is our responsibility to our planet and to our future generations, as Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the UN, said. But as one of my favorite all-time quotes, as Robert F. Kennedy said in 1968, which many of you probably weren't even old enough to remember, he said, he had a beautiful speech, and this is a short excerpt from it. And what he said was, the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything, in short, except that which makes life worthwhile. So Equity. I want to take a second to distinguish between equity and equality. Equity is fairness and justice. By systematically assessing and addressing the disparities in opportunities, outcomes, and representation, and redressing these disparities. So what you see here in these two pictures depicts the essential difference between equality, where we treat everyone the same by giving them the same resources, i.e. the same bicycles, versus equity, where we are inclusive and provide people based on their individual needs, so the outcomes are more equitable. I also want to take a second to talk about core sustainability concepts. We think of it in three terms: enough for all forever, systems thinking, which produces enough, and we do have enough for all, socioeconomic justice, and intergenerational responsibility. Dr. Charles Hopkins coined this after he attributed the enough for all forever phrase to an unnamed African elder who used the phrase when asked to define sustainable development at a UN conference that they both attended. So inventing sustainability is in our hands. Without the use of the resources of our supportive planet, there is no business. Humanity will not exist. So sustainability is fundamentally personal. It starts with each and every one of us. It's also local. It starts with where you live in your community. It's regional, it's national, and it's global. So a couple of more things to inspire you for the conference. Pope Francis spoke about on individuals operating in service of the whole. He said, rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We're all born to help each other, no matter how difficult it is. Life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you. Desmond Tutu spoke about Ubuntu and interconnection. And Ubuntu translates as I am because we are, or the belief in a universal bond of sharing that connects all humanity. Today, many associate Ubuntu with interconnection. My humanity is closely bound up with yours. As Archbishop Desmond Tutu stated, it serves as a reminder that no one is an island and that everything you do, good or bad, has an influence on your family, friends, and society. It also urges us to reconsider our actions and the impact they may have on others. So as one of my other life's inspirations, since I was in college many years ago, was Margaret Mead, who said that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever had. So it starts with you. It starts with kindred spirits. We have right now many kindred spirits and many joining us throughout the next 2 days. Your networks, the whole company that you work in, the whole industry you work in, all industries, and ultimately the world. So as Gandhi said, it's all about, starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny and our destiny. So I'd like to pose the question, what if every employee had goals around corporate social responsibility and sustainability, working in concert with the business's goals to solve some of our most intractable problems? And if every employee could articulate what that means to them personally, getting everybody on board. And I just want to also mention, we have, through my book, The Sustainable Enterprise Field Book, my team has created a Bridges to a New Future web resource for learning and collaboration. You can see the link there. And what you'll notice, the bridge to a sustainable enterprise starts with hope. It crosses 3 lanes of adaptation, collaboration, and innovation. So we in the work we do have arrived not at a crossroads, but at a rotary intersection under construction. We can't go straight, we can't go back. We have complex problems and we are under construction, removing the old rules and building the new ones. In my final minute, I want to have the opportunity to introduce the speakers for the rest of the morning. Win from Within, the next presentation, will focus on the new CSR models in digital platforms and what drives digital platforms to adopt those models. And digital is so important in the current world. In the second session at 10:15, for-profit firms' contribution focuses on the important question, how can a strategic orientation and addressing social value creation be defined and measured? And the third session on applying conviction narratives for good focuses on how to create narratives that are motivating and convincing to overcome barriers in business model innovation, drawing on psychology, neuroscience, and management to explain what gives rise to such narratives. Social entrepreneurship in stigmatized settings focuses on how stigma can be a motivating factor for entrepreneurs to address unmet needs and create social value, start a business, and how alleviating stigma can contribute to a social mission of a company. And finally, stakeholder capitalism focuses on how organizations promote individual freedom to produce an inclusive approach towards disenfranchised stakeholders. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you in the next session.